truth. And the truth is that this is all by Democrat design. Our inner cities are all by Democrat design. Like Chicago, like Baltimore, and like Detroit, they have been run by Democrats for decades. We have been made to believe that the conditions in our cities are normal. We're supposed to turn a blind eye to the corruption, to the crime, to the gangs, and instead focus on what our media deems of more importance. We are instead told that we should be focusing on white people. We're supposed to be reactive and angry and fearful about white supremacy, when in fact, it is liberal supremacy that is harming our communities. I say this all the time. You show me a neighborhood where there are liberal policies that reign supreme, and I will show you a neighborhood where Black Americans are struggling in this country. For decades, we have been disrespected by the Democrats. We have empowered their party, lined the pocket of their politicians, and we have gotten positively nothing in return for our blind allegiance and faithfulness. I've recently begun to immerse myself, as I told you all yesterday, in old videos and interviews of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I came across an interview of him from 1964 where he was underscoring the problems that were in Black America at that time. And here's what he mentioned. I will quote: school dropouts, crime rates, illegitimacy, rioting, and other social evils, end quote. I find that list to be really interesting because he spoke that list 55 years ago. And yet today, across all of those categories, we not only have the exact same problems, but the problems have worsened. How is that possible? How is that possible in a society that has experienced so much social progress that we are seeing a decline in the Black community? The statistics of illegitimacy, crime rates, and illiteracy have worsened since the time of segregation and Jim Crow. In that same interview, Dr. King said something that I thought was timeless. He said, "It is both socially and morally suicidal to continue a pattern of deploring effects while failing to come to grip with its causes." This is reminiscent of Albert Einstein's famed quote, "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results." While neither of them could have been possibly speaking to the predicament that we are in today, their words are timeless because for the last 6 decades, Black America has found itself in a rhythm of insanity, voting for the same party over and over again and expecting different results. It is, in my opinion, both socially and morally suicidal that we continue this pattern. Democrats have looked at us in the face and they have sold us worthlessness. They have told us that we cannot, that we need more government assistance, more handouts. We handed them power, and in return, they further diminished our sense of pride, the most important thing that we had, our sense of pride. We allowed their government to victimize us through the expansion of welfare policies. We allowed them, most importantly, to remove the fathers from our homes, removing the backbone of our families. They knew, the Democrats knew, that without stable households, our children would pursue that paternity elsewhere. They knew that our children would run to the streets. They knew that our youth would grow up and begin to mirror themselves after rappers and basketball players rather than men of high intellect and values and more attainable goals. Their media took away the Jeffersons, they took away the Winslows, they took away the Huxtables, and they gave us love and hip-hop. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were resetting our goals. But what they didn't know, what they could have never predicted, was that we might wake up to it one day. In 2015, when a man with crazy hair and a beautiful wife came down the escalator at Trump Tower, we were at the beginning of a shift, and I'll tell you honestly, I wasn't sure about him. I wasn't sure when he first came down the escalator. I said, isn't that the guy that says, you're fired? Is he really running for president? But then an incredible moment happened. In August of 2016 in Michigan, everything changed for me when that same man did something that I believe will forever be recorded in Black history as a turning point for our community. That Republican candidate got on stage, he boldly looked Black America straight in the face, and he asked us, What do you have to lose? The courage of that moment, the courage for a man to challenge us to look around at our communities and to just acknowledge it, to be real, to be honest with ourselves, to acknowledge the filth of our communities and our inner cities, to acknowledge the state of our broken culture, our broken school system. He forced us to stop accepting excuses. Every single person that is standing in this room stands here because at some point we had the courage to set our pride aside and to realize that for the first time in decades, we had somebody who was telling us the truth. And he just kept on telling it all around the country, dropping bars. Honestly, Trump might be my favorite rapper right now. My favorite moment of his campaign was he said, "Only Rosie O'Donnell, only Rosie O'Donnell." Only our 45th president, Donald J. Trump, and I'm going to tell you what I love about him. I get that question all the time, Candace. What do you love about Donald Trump? What I love about Donald Trump most is his audacity. The audacity that it took to stand up and look Black America in the eye. The audacity that it takes to call out these crooked Black Democrat politicians that have received billions in aid from our government and effectively stolen it from the struggling cities that they represent. The audacity to call out Elijah Cummings, the audacity to call out Maxine Waters, who lives, by the way, in a $6 million home outside of her own district. President Donald Trump has both the spine and the audacity to save Black America. It takes a lot of guts, and we all know this. When you wake up as a Black American and you realize the truth and you have the courage to speak out about it, the racist leftist media will attack you. CNN is a racist network, in my opinion. I've watched them over the past year sanction the violence of Antifa against Black conservatives. They have referred to all of us last year in the same exact room. CNN referred to all of us as paid puppets. They said we were paid to be in this room because they cannot fathom that we would ever have the courage to stand up and to tell them no more. No more victim narrative, CNN. No more victim narrative, MSNBC. No more telling us that we cannot do something because of the color of our skin. No more fear politics. No more attempts to scare us into voting for you. No more lies. No more half-truths. They attack the one president that has done the absolute most for Black America than any president in American history because they are scared. And I'll tell you what they're scared of. They are scared of no longer being able to control us. They are scared that we are actually waking up to everything that they have done to us. It was Clarence Thomas, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, in 1991 who warned us against what the Democrats and the media would do to Black people like us. This is what he said, quote, "This is a circus. It's a national disgrace, and from my standpoint as a Black American, it is a high-tech lynching for uppity Blacks who in any way deign to think for themselves, to do for themselves, to have different ideas, and it is a message that unless you kowtow to an old order, this is what will happen to you. You will be lynched, you will be destroyed, you will be caricatured, rather than hung from a tree." How right was Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas in the treatment of Black Americans today? It is a national disgrace. But let them continue. Let them continue their attacks on free-thinking Blacks. It's not going to stop us in any way from supporting this administration, from supporting people like our honorable Vice President, Mike Pence, who is finally talking about God again on the national stage. President Trump views us as Americans. And the answer, of course, to that question is that we had absolutely nothing to lose from taking a chance on him, and now we're winning. We want Trump. We want the victor narrative. We want opportunities. We want to be viewed as Americans first and foremost. And you know, I rarely give him credit, but maybe former President Barack Obama said it best in his Harvard Law School paper when he wrote, "The American dream is to be like Donald Trump." We want the American dream. Thank you guys so much for being here, and get ready to see the man himself.